2023 has been a challenge. I spent more than half the year in bed, which did at times make it a struggle to play a lot of games. However, it's actually surprising how many games I played come the end of the year. I had a long string of duds earlier on. Solar Ash was the biggest disappointment. I was excited for it as a follow-up to Hyper Light Drifter, but the combination of lackluster gameplay, unremarkable combat, and genuinely distracting voice acting has left me very concerned about Hyper Light Breaker, which was one of my most anticipated games coming up. I also just couldn't get into the new Zelda or Tunic, which were both games I was really hopeful for. It wasn't all bad though. I did play a lot of games I loved. Lunistis and Pseudo Regalia both captured the essence of some games I grew up with while actually controlling well and having a good flow to them. Arturo and I played a lot of Omega Strikers together, and that's consistently been a lot of fun. I'm still really enjoying Elden Ring, but the length of that game is daunting, and it's been a challenge to sink the time into it to progress enough for it to belong on this list. This year it's pretty tight. Pretty much any of the top 5, maybe 6 games here on the right day could be number 1. And for the first time, the majority of these games actually did come out over the last couple of years. When I saw the concept for Bread and Fred, I was thinking to myself, is this 3-legged race Jump King? This game looks like actual hell. And I'm sure with the right teammate, it absolutely would be. Luckily, Hilton and I are cooperative enough that this game actually ended up being really pleasant.
1, 2.
Wait.
Oh.
And I'm interested to see what Hilton thought of having to play it with me.
1, 2.
The music is relaxing and the visuals are really cute.
1, 2.
I can see myself playing this game through again with someone else just to experience Nightmare Mode.
1, 2.
But if you can trust your teammate, you can trust me that this game is actually pretty fun.
Yeah, we're just going 1, 2.
Yeah, go.
1, 2.
No, wait. It's fine. First half of this year, I was struggling so much to find a new game to play. Every single thing I played turned out to be the same game. I tried Nuclear Throne, Voidigo, Fantastic Predators, Blazing Beaks, and Moonlighter in a row. I need to take a long break from dungeon crawlers, but if I mix in Isaac and Gungeon, I can rank them anyway, so here's how I do that. The best of those games was Nuclear Throne. It's incredibly fast-paced and visually busy, which makes it super hard, but it's very fun. Weapon variety is plentiful, yet not overwhelming, everything has a good weight to it, and it's a standout game of a genre that I played too much of this year. Earlier this year, on a sleepless night, I finally managed to get around to playing a game that's been in the backlog for a while now. Dishonored. I was actually surprised with just how much I enjoyed it, as someone who does not have the patience to be good at a stealth game. I know that game came out a couple years ago and I'm on the tail end of the hype wave, but whatever, it was good. Omega Strikers is such a perfect concept for a group multiplayer game. It's 3v3 air hockey with special moves. Each character is well designed enough with a unique playstyle and set of abilities. If you prefer to be high pressure the way I do, there's characters for that. There's options for more supportive styles and slower styles. There's a character dedicated to being a complete nuisance. If you want, you can even just kill people. Where the character design shines the most is in the musical themes that come packaged with each one. If you get MVP for a set, your character's theme becomes the music for the next set. It's such a simple, yet effective way to build excitement. Omega Strikers shines when you get to play it together with friends, not just because trying to get cooperative teammates online sucks, but because making synergy work with your group is the fun part of this game. And outsmarting opponents in Omega Strikers is an amazing feeling. It's the only online multiplayer game I ever see people properly mentally reset in to make comebacks. So many games are super close. Not every match is a winner, but the ones that do go the distance are some of the highest hype, highest pressure matches that give me an energy and feeling I don't get from any other game. Well, I finally did it. I finally got around to playing a game that was recommended to me. Everyone seemed to want me to play Pseudo Regalia, which I gave a shot partially because Arturo bought it for me, but also because all I knew about it was that it's Metroidvania, which I've come to realize is my favorite genre. Now that I've played it, I thought it was really good. It's a very short game, and as much as a map might have made it flow a little better, that would be less time I'd have to play around with the movement. I love a short and sweet experience, but my biggest complaint about this game is that I wish I had more of it, and as far as problems go, that's not that bad of a problem to have. On the surface level, it's a simple game, visually similar to the Nintendo 64 Legend of Zelda games, with a level layout and audio design that really gave me some proper nostalgia. Beyond that though, Pseudo Regalia is carried by some fantastic controls and traversal. The movement in this game is so exploitable. I feel like I played the game out of order because of the tricks I was having to pull to get past certain obstacles, to the point that I wasn't sure sometimes if I was supposed to figure out a trick I didn't know or if I just had to find another ability. But whether or not I did it right, it was immensely satisfying to overcome every movement-based challenge I came across. In my experience, Lil Gator Game feels like a follow-up to A Short Hike. It's a really cute and sweet casual adventure through a deceptively large island, and most of your goals involve interacting with people and making friends. It's an adorable and well-written story of growing up and learning to understand each other. And on top of it being a super fun, casual game, its story is very touching. Lil Gator Game makes it so much fun just to get around. You can collect all kinds of items to traverse the island in new ways, and there's even a ragdoll move. Cocoon is perhaps one of the coolest games I've played in a long while, that really you should just play. It's a puzzle game where the entire world is the puzzle, but there's more than one world, and each world has its own set of puzzles while also being a puzzle itself. Each area is constructed amazingly well to be some form of unsettling, and this game has some of the best audio design I've ever heard. Back in my day, there was a game called Lovely Planet. And just now, in looking up the actual release date of Lovely Planet, I have aged myself, realizing that I was already out of high school by the time that game released. Your goal in that game was to take out all the enemies and complete the level as fast as possible. One of the best and most challenging speedrunning games I ever played. In Neon White, you do that exact same thing, but even better. Your tools come in the form of cards you pick up. Each acts as a weapon that you can either fire like a gun or discard to activate its ability. The pistol double jumps, the rifle and shotgun are dashes, the SMG is a ground pound. Managing the use of abilities and finding less obvious routes in each level keeps this game infinitely replayable. If you're an obsessive perfectionist who needs an ace medal on every stage like I am, this game is going to offer a near limitless supply of well-polished, fast-paced movement and aim challenges. Gameplay alone, this is one of the best games I've played in a long time. The story itself is fine, but the writing is just so bad.
Mr. White?
I cannot take this goofy-ass writing seriously, and I think that might have actually increased my enjoyment. Chicory is the game you get when you take the writing from Wandersong and the music from Celeste and combine them. Just an instant masterpiece. It tells a well-delivered story of handling imposter syndrome and dealing with anxiety. You're tasked with single-handedly restoring a world that's lost its color and living up to the massive expectations that were set by the ones who did it before you, all while coming up against physical manifestations of the character's own self-doubt that take on the role of the game's boss fights and come with surprisingly intense music. I was not confident enough in my artistic ability to want to pick this game up, but when I did finally decide to play it, I was relieved to find out that's kinda what the game is about. Also, the way you actually use the brush through the game does not require you to have that talent. Chicory is a very pleasant adventure game. It's not too long and it's set in a beautiful world filled with a great cast of characters. If you're here for a recommendation, this is probably number one. I'll be honest, this was not the game I expected to be my favorite this year at all. I didn't even expect to like it. And when I think about it, maybe it's not the game I recommend for other people, but for me on a personal level, absolutely. From a gameplay perspective, it's a Metroidvania with some really fun movement mechanics. I wouldn't call it incredibly difficult, but progress and combat still feel rewarding. The boss fights are all satisfying, while not being too challenging, but the coolest boss is the second one. A small caveat to all this being that I beat the game using only the pistol and the shotgun and I found the difficulty perfect. Besides me enjoying the gameplay, what Laika does right for me is the setting and story. It's a well-built world that actually feels real and connected. Everywhere has backstory and it's all named accordingly. The setting is so bleak and emotionally draining, and it's backed by a beautiful, mournful soundtrack that manages to breathe so much melancholic life into such a devastated world. The best moments of action and exploration come with the more empowering and upbeat tracks, and the most powerful moments in the story are carried by these somber pieces with strong yet gentle melodies. In my current state, I still cannot get through the entire game's soundtrack album without tearing up at some point. The game starts off on the most fucked up note possible, and thankfully never gets to that level again throughout. My one complaint with Laika's storytelling is how much the flow would improve if they just let the cutscenes breathe a little more. There's only one specifically jarring instance, and as much as it does cut short an otherwise very powerful moment, I was already in tears and I missed the interruption. Laika Age Through Blood has a story that just speaks to me and stuck with me. It hit me as hard as Spiritfarer did before, and it's the second game to join this list. This game came to me at the perfect time. It's something that connected and resonated with me more than any story I remember experiencing since the aforementioned Spiritfarer. This is a story about a mother doing everything she can to protect her child and her home. It's a story about the indigenous people fighting back against their oppressors who are wiping them out and stealing their land, and truly, at its heart, it is a story about what we take for granted, and it hit me unbelievably hard.